I'm Dr. Jun. Have you heard about mind over matter? How we think affects not only our lives but also our bodies. There's a huge link between the mind and the body. Here's an example. Let's just say the person's name Tom. Tom finally started to look at his life when he kept getting stomach problems and had constant back pain. So when he thought about it, he realized that the stress of staying in a job that made him unhappy had been making him feel desperate. He had been angry and upset with his boss, his coworker, and his family for 20 years. Tom's short temper was often a problem for the other people, but all the time, his secret thoughts were mostly about how bad he was and how he was always getting picked on. When these rigid ways of thinking, believing, feeling, and living happens over and over again, they're turning into toxic attitudes that Tom's body couldn't stomach. Tom told me that his healing started when he realized that his unconscious attitudes made him who he was and who he had become. Most of the people whose case histories I looked at came to the same conclusion as Tom. That new field of neuroscience that has shown the connection between the mind and the body. This is called Psychoneuroimmunology, abbreviation PNEI, or Psychoneuroendoummunology, PNEI. Every time you think, your brain does something chemically. The brain then sends chemical signal to the rest of the body. These signals carry the thoughts to the rest of the body. Thoughts make chemicals in the brain, and those chemicals make your body feel the way you just thought. So every thought makes a chemical that makes your body feel a certain way. So when you think happy, inspiring, or positive thoughts, your brain produces chemicals that make you feel happy, inspired, or uplifted. For example, when you are looking forward to a fun experience, your brain immediately makes a chemical neurotransmitter called dopamine. This chemical prepares your brain and the body for the event and excites you. When you think hateful, angry, or bad thoughts about yourself, your brain also makes the chemicals called neuropeptides, which your body reacts to in a similar way. You feel mean, angry, or not good enough. So you can see that your thoughts become real right away. When the body has a feeling in response to the thoughts, this sets off the response in the brain. The brain is always watching, judging how the body is doing, so it knows when the body is feeling a certain way. And in response to that physical feeling, the brain produces thoughts that make chemical messengers that match the feeling. You start to think about the way you feel. In a continuous cycle, what you think makes you feel, and what you feel makes you think. This loop eventually leads to a certain state in the body, which affects how you feel and act in general. This is what we will call a state of being. For example, say a person spends most of her life thinking, feeling the same way about being afraid. When she thinks she's not good enough, smart enough, or enough for thinking anything, her brain sends chemicals that makes her feel insecure. Now what she just thought is what she feels. Once she feels insecure, her thoughts will start to match how she feels. In other words, her body is making her think about things right now. This thought makes me feel even more insecure, so the cycle continues. Do you get that picture? If this person's thoughts and feelings keep causing the same biological feedback loop between her brain and her body year after year, she'll be in a state called insecurity. The more we think the same thoughts, which cause the body to make the same chemicals, makes us feel the same way, the more our thoughts changes physically. In this way, our state of being is based on what we think and feel. What we think about and how strongly we think about it affects our health, the decisions we make, and ultimately the quality of lives. Some people end up feeling anxiety, worry, sadness, jealousy, anger, or some other kind of emotional pain almost every day for the decades. So we can start seeing, thanks through the PNEI, that the connection between the major controlling system of the human body, such as nervous, endocrine, and immune system, and the psyche, which makes each of us unique in terms of our emotion and thoughts. If you are thinking and feeling the same way for too long, this will create a cascade reaction on the other systems and cause symptoms and conditions to show up. In the 1970s, scientists proved that the brain, specifically the hypothalamus, starts the stress response, and the hypothalamus also controls the production of thyroid, sexual, growth, and nursing hormones. At the same time, Lazarus studies how men deal with the stress. When the same low-intensity psychosocial stimuli were given to different people, their bodies reacted in different ways. Before causing emotional activations and tension, the input was thought to be processed by cognitive processes and evaluated by the central nervous system for its quality and the meaning. And in the 1970s, Besedowski shows that the cortisol productions caused by stress weakens the immune system. In the 1980s, more research was done on the stress, the brain, and immunity. Different mental stressors changed how the immune system worked, and the mediators and modulators of the immune response were found. The Candace Pert, a neurophysiologist, studied endorphins and a large number of neuropeptides in 1997. She focused on their role as messengers, not just of information but also of emotions, and found that they are present in all of the body's cells. Neuropeptides are called molecules of the mind or molecules of the emotions, because in addition to the carrying information about hormones and the metabolism, they also carry emotional, psychophysical signals. Due to those signals, all emotional states like love, fears, pleasure, pain, anxiety, and anger are sent to the body. After this, Dr. Pert wants to change the name of the neuropeptides to peptides, which seems to better describe what they do and how they work. This means that whole body thinks and that every cell feels emotion, receive physical information, and send it to the whole organisms through a dense networks of interconnection with a wide range of communication channels. This helps the body develop metabolic strategies for the global well-being. In this new theory, the immune system is likened to the inner eye, a real sense organ that looked both outside and inside. In mind-body unity, peptides and receptors are the biochemical basis of emotions. So it's clear that emotions affect health and disease. The great new idea that this model brings is not only demonstrated to be accurate because it calls into question some of the basic idea of the traditional paradigm, but also because it can be used to confirm some important theories in alternative medicine that find explanations and feedbacks on the physiological and biochemical levels. Recent studies show that even diseases like arterial sclerosis, which were once thought to be caused by too much cholesterol in the blood, it is strongly affected by the actual mood. Depression, which is now thought of as an inflammatory disease, changes the inner walls of the blood vessels, making it easier for the typical arteriosclerosis lesion to form. So you see, there's so much more that our body, the mind, how this is going to affect each other, how they intertwine each other. It is very, very important to improve or increase awareness, expand your awareness, so that we can really approach your body in a very unique and a very positive ways. Please visit Conscious Network, Awakening Network, and quantumdecoders.com/CAN, which is a Conscious Awakening Network. And we'll bring up more information for you to understand PNEI, Psychoneuroimmunology, endoimmunology, and connection of mind and our body. And thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.